Hey, my friends, it's Chitra Rochlani, your intuitive guide and spiritual counselor. Now, before I get into today's conversation, I just want to clarify that I am not a professional qualified with any degrees in inner work, but I do like to believe that I have a self-appointed Ph.D. in ME, which is a Ph.D. in me. I've spent a better part of my life being hyper aware of myself. I've studied my shortcomings, I have studied my strengths, and everything in between to an obsessive level. I am here today to talk about something that's been popping up for me a lot personally, and that is the message that anyone can be a monk in the monastery, but can you be a monk in the mayhem, in the madness, in the mess that we live in sometimes? So let's talk about that and dig a little deeper to see what that really means. When I was a kid, we used to go to the temple and there were all these idols, different idols that we would worship. And, at one time I remember my mom saying to me, anyone can find peace in the temple because nobody's talking back to you. The idols are, they're not able to speak, so they're not going to be able to talk back to you. But if you can be at peace in your own home with the people that are put in your life, then you've truly accomplished peace. So, that's something that just stuck with me for, my whole life. And I try to remember that when I start to get agitated or worked up about certain situations. And, sometimes you have to fake it before you make it. So one of the things that I would start to do as, little things would happen, like when my kids were little and they would aggravate me, not to say that I always kept my cool, I lost it a lot. But as I kept losing it and getting worked up, I would try to remind myself or kind of ask myself the question, what would someone who was super zen in this moment do? And I would try to channel this avatar of somebody who was super zen. And, it was kind of silly, but it worked because, if I was stuck in traffic and I was like, well, what would I do if I were super zen? Maybe I would try to remind myself that there could be an emergency in the car in front of me that just cut me off and they were trying to get to the hospital. Or maybe, my kids are screaming and yelling now, but, I watch the news and there is a kid that's lost that they're looking for. So at least I have them at home. And I would make up these scenarios that would make me feel better in the moment. And somewhere along the way, I liked the way that made me feel. I liked how it brought peace into my world. And so I just started to do that more and more with everything in my life. And of course, gratitude was a big part of it. So, one of the ways to be a monk in the madness or the mayhem is to remind yourself of all the blessings that we do have in our life, right? So think of a situation that aggravates you, that gets you worked up, and then challenge yourself to sit with it and see what would happen if you channeled your inner monk. We all have, both sides to us. We have the Zen side and we have the crazy side and we have the angry side, because we're humans. And we have all these emotions that pop up. So sit with it, explore it, and see what would come up for you if you allowed yourself to channel that inner Zen master, right? How would you react? Or maybe create an avatar if you have to. What would Oprah do? What would, Eckhart Tolle do in this situation? These are people that I've read a lot about and I've seen their work, and it inspires me to be a little more Zen in my life. So, we really just need to start with something small and actionable. And once you accomplish a small feat, like if you can go through traffic today and you can look around and just flash that big, bad smile of yours to everybody around you, despite the madness. Or if you're in a commuter train, you can look around and smile at everybody. Take it a step further, because someone who is Zen wouldn't just not show their anger, right? They would be so Zen that they would bring that Zenness to everybody around them. So how about we just, for fun, go out there and be so happy and so Zen and so calm that people around us are forced to tap into that energy and, imbibe some of that into their own lives. So, I challenge you today, go out there, try it out. And if it works, it works. It's awesome. And if it doesn't, just keep trying again and again and again. Obviously, if you're dealing with a lot in your personal life and there's a lot of stress that you're going through, it's not going to come naturally. But remember, fake it till you make it, and believe that, you could go through the same situation, all aggravated and crazy and driving yourself nuts and increasing your, cortisol levels by stressing your mind and body out. Or you could go through it with just this sense of calm and quiet and peace and joy and gratitude. So make your choice and see how you feel. Does it feel better to let it out, all that aggression that you're holding in? Because sometimes you have to just let it out and there is no zenning around it. And you just have to release it from your body physically. And sometimes you can channel that inner Zen master and make it work. So, just take kind of stock of where you are mentally and ask yourself, would I like to try to be a little more Zen in this situation? And what would that feel like? Or is this something that I just need to process and maybe write it down, journal about it, let it out somehow so that I can release it, right? You can either release it or you can find a way through it with peace.